Can you share high level how you choose your partners and why you choose them?
Yeah, let me assure you that both of these ladies on this call definitely keep me in line and help me make those decisions.
Good.
So it's not just me.
Good. Welcome to Digital Hospitality. I'm your host, Sean Walchef. This is a Cali BBQ Media production. We believe that all businesses need to be digital first, especially brick and mortar businesses like restaurants. We also believe that every business is in the hospitality business, whether they know it or not. We started this show back in 2017. I own restaurants here in San Diego. We've been in business since 2008. And I had this crazy feeling that I wasn't alone as a restaurateur, that there were other hospitality professionals out there that were curious, that maybe they had some successes, maybe they had some failures. And if we could create a show where we had conversations with all of the best in the business, we could all grow, we could all learn, we could all build community. And I'm so grateful that now 7 years later, this show, Digital Hospitality, allows me to feature the best brands in the world. Today, we have front burner brands from Melting Pot Restaurants. I have Randy Barnett, who is the VP of Innovation. I have Kristen Whitlock, who is the F&B Director. And I have Anna Malmqvist, the Chief Marketing Officer. This is like, usually I get one-offs. So I get CEO, founder, I get an IT director, I get Chief Marketing. But I got all three, which is probably maybe like one of the coolest episodes for me because every single one of you has a voice. I think for me, understanding that the more interviews that I do and the different perspectives, you start to realize how difficult the restaurant business is, but also how magical it is. So welcome to the show. Thank you guys for being here.
Thanks for having me.
High level.
Thank you for having us, Sean.
Anna, why don't you high level from a chief marketing officer, tell us about Melting Pot Restaurants?
Yeah.
What do you guys do?
So Melting Pot, we're the premier fondue restaurant in the world because there aren't that many, fondue restaurant, chain restaurants out there. This restaurant brand actually started in 1975. So we're celebrating our 50th anniversary this year, which is a huge milestone to your opening remarks. I mean, how many restaurants have been out there for 20 years, let alone 50 years, right? So we have really stood the test of time because we offer such a unique experience, really rooted in the fondue experience, which is so interactive and so experiential that people really enjoy coming to us for those, very special occasions like your birthdays, anniversaries, Valentine's Day is coming up. That's like our Super Bowl. So that's what Melting Pot is all about. And I've been there now for about 5 years. And what we really love to talk about, and we're going to be talking about a lot this year, is the fact that we've been celebrating the perfect night out, 50 years of the perfect night out, which is the experience that our guests tell us they have when they come to us. So we're very excited about that this year.
That's amazing. And Randy, can you high level for us what your role is and how long you've been with the company?
Yeah, I've been with the company, Sean, for about 8 years. My role is really just head of the technology department, which is really just to say we implement, support, and future-proof the business from a technology perspective. And I'm fortunate to be able to partner with great other leaders like Kristen and Anna on a regular basis to bring that out to our guests and also to our team members as well.
And Kristen, can you share a little bit about how you became F&B director and what your role is and what your plans are for 2025 and beyond?
So I actually work under Randy, and I've been with the company for a little over 9 years now. And so my job is to just make sure everything that touches the restaurant does exactly what Randy says. It supports, it makes it easy to execute, it's efficient, and it takes us into the future.
Can we start with Toast, one of our partners? So I'm the Toast unboxing guy. We made a video in 2020 when we switched from Aloha to Toast. And I told them we're a media company and we do podcasts and content and stuff on LinkedIn. And they're like, show me. And we made a Toast unboxing video. Now I'm on the customer advisory board. We do lots of content for Toast. But I would love to hear the Toast story for Melting Pot Restaurants.
Yeah, absolutely. So we started our journey in 2018. And as a franchise company, we were on many, many different platforms, Aloha being one of them, Restaurant Manager, Micros, anything that you can think of, we probably had a restaurant that was on it. And I was tasked with going out and finding not only a vendor, but a partner. So that was really important to us, to find somebody that was going to be transparent and upfront, that was moving towards the future, that could support an enterprise brand like the Melting Pot restaurants, and really take us into the future and be open to listening to what we needed, not only for us, but for other companies. Because it's important to make sure that when we're, telling Toast our needs, that it supports other enterprise customers and small market. So we went out and we did look at many, many vendors. I mean, many vendors. And we set up a restaurant task force, if you will. And we invited our franchisees down. We had our operators, we had general managers, we had the restaurant support team members from operations all the way to our CFO participate. And it was really important to get not only people who were versed in technology, but people who may not be the best in technology, because we really wanted that broad spectrum of people to tell us their needs and their wants and make sure that they understand it. So we narrowed it down to 5, and we had them come in, and Toast was in that group, and they set up labs, they did demos. Some of the people have come and gone, but Sarah Kabikoff led that way for Toast. She was amazing. I'm not sure if you're familiar with her, but she was one of our ultimate favorite Toast people of all time. And they came in and they did a great job, and it was unanimous. Every single person on our task force picked Toast to be our vendor. And then we got rolling essentially. And I was trained by Nicholas Franklin up at Toast headquarters. So I got to experience all of that. So he's like my Toast bestie now. And I, still talk to him. So, and that just tells you something about the relationships that you build at Toast. Starting our journey in 2018, I still talk to him to this day. So I think that says a lot about not only a vendor, but again, what I said about a partnership. So 2019, we actually rolled out our first location. All 90 locations are on Toast at this point. We did hit a few bumps, obviously, because of COVID. Sure. But, Deborah is the CTO, is our executive sponsor. So we love that. And we love that she listens to us. We have her ear. Again, we have great partnerships. Randy is really involved too. And it's been a journey, and it's still evolving. And, we love many, many people there. I could name so many. And not only that, but it's led us to other relationships with other companies that we utilize, like F3 and Dan Dickerson. So it just takes us, from one place to another. So it's always evolving, and it's just really great to be working with a company and companies like that.
Dan Dickerson, they're one of our partners at F3. We're launching their YouTube channel, so they're going to be doing a lot more content. It's often a overlooked part of the restaurant business, I believe. And from an infrastructure standpoint, when I say the premise of our show, Digital Hospitality, all businesses need to be digital first. If you don't have your IT set up in the right way, you're not open. like the open sign, it's not on. Can you share a little bit about the relationship with F3?
Yeah. Well, he used to be at Toast, and he was my technical partner. I can't, whatever they called them at the time. So when he left, it was a big hole for us, because we were super connected with him. He did a lot of stuff for us. But he reached out when he went over to F3, and we've actually utilized their partnership, I'll just say it, at some of our openings. Awesome. And they've provided that on-site support for us too. And it's white glove. We love it. It's the kind of stuff that we expect, somebody who understands our brand. Yep. And that's hard coming from a organization like F3, who isn't intimate with something like the Melting Pot, but we got them intimate. And that was one of the things that we were like, hey, if we're going to use you, you have to understand us from A to Z. You can't just, it's not your typical brand opening that you can walk in and just be like, oh, here's hot side, here's cold side. It's not like that. So being that they could step up and do that, that says a lot about F3. Yeah.
Randy, I would love to ask you from a technology standpoint. It's something that there's the technology where we want to be efficient. The whole premise of digital hospitality, it's almost an antithesis. Like for hospitality, you need to have humans and you need to have that touch point, but we also need the technology. When you're looking high level at the brand and you're trying to bring in a technology partner, I love the fact that Kristen's on this call and Anna's on this call, because these are the decisions that we make no matter how big our restaurants are. There's so many people that need to be involved, because as a founder, as an owner, I can tell, Eric, my chief financial officer and director of operations, Howard, I can say, hey, we want this tech, implement it. And that puts them in a tough bind because they actually have to implement the technology. Can you share high level how you choose your partners and why you choose them?
Yeah, let me assure you that both of these ladies on this call definitely keep me in line and help me make those decisions. So
Good.
it's not just me.
Good.
This is a full collaboration within our organization, I'm not just saying that. That's the way we operate. We feel like it's important to include as many people in these decisions as possible. Of course, we want to make the best decision from a technical perspective. But if it doesn't make sense for Anna and her team after it's all said and done, what have we done?
Yeah.
We just wasted our time and hers. So, that's how the decision making, at least in my head, at a high level goes. Our tech stack obviously includes Toast, is foundational for us. OpenTable is another really, really strong partner of ours. From there, it kind of jumps up to Salesforce Marketing Cloud, and that would be the piece that Anna and her team helps us with. We've got Tableau for business intelligence. That was another decision that we made as an organization to make sure we could have good visualization of the data, which helped us build out, some of our analysis that Anna and her team uses, RFM analysis, and then to layer onto that, dropping that into spatial AI to get deeper segmentation. So it's a true partnership, Sean, across the board, and we really believe in that.
How do you discover new tech?
Oh man, a lot of it is through people like you. Of course, we stay connected in the industry. I've been around for quite a while, so I know a lot of people. I'm part of the Toast Advisory Board as well, so I get a lot of good information through them. That's not just about Toast, but partners that they use, and those are trusted opinions as always.
Mm-hmm.
We go to shows. We don't do as many shows as we used to, but we still get out there and look around and see what's going on.
Can you share about the customer advisory board? I mean, I know both of us are on NDAs, but from a high level, I think we believe a rising tide lifts all ships. And I think, back to my point in the beginning of this podcast, as restaurateurs, people that work in this business, like we give hospitality every day to everyone else around us. We also feel like we're alone. Like we realize that, but when you go to a customer advisory board, at least for myself, I go and I'm on the S&B at my advisory board. There's, 25 other much more successful restaurants, different concepts, people from different parts of the country. And the more that we talk, the more I realize, oh my gosh, they're experiencing maybe not the same exact pain point, but something similar. And then I ask them, how are they solving it? And all of a sudden you realize like, wow, we need a lot more collaboration in this industry.
Yeah, people ask me all the time, what is the benefit of being on that board? And that is it. It's the networking. It's what I learn from other people. I go into these meetings and these conversations with that team to learn and soak everything up that I can, because clearly, we've got people from all different types of restaurants here, and everybody's trying to solve different problems. But ultimately, it all comes down to, as you said, the hospitality aspect and how are we doing things right? How are we keeping things efficient? How are we putting data out there that our teams can use to make better decisions? It's a wonderful experience, and I'm truly blessed to be a part of that group.
And Anna, marketing. True to my heart. I love talking marketing with any chief marketing officer. You have so many restaurants. You have such big responsibilities. We have to be omni-channel these days where, TikTok is shutting down. It's not shutting down. There's YouTube, there's Instagram, there's Reels, there's Facebook, there's email marketing. Can you share from a high level, how do you look at 2025? What are your priorities for 2025?
I mean, everything you just said, right? The digital world from a marketing standpoint, it's dynamic. It's continuously changing. Yeah. And, for me, I have a great team. I have an amazing team that stays on top of that, and we have amazing partners that also stay on top of that for us and keep advising us. We have a digital media agency that stays on top of those kind of digital trends and networks and how to best leverage our, marketing dollars, which are, limited, right? We have to use them as wisely as we possibly can. And then the people on my team that manage those relationships also have to very much stay on top of things, because we're also a franchise organization. So there's things that we do at a national level ourselves, but then there's things that our franchisees and our locations have to do, and it becomes very complicated very quickly. So we're very fortunate to have, again, a great team and great partners. And frankly, this team right here, I could not do my job without Randy and Kristen's help. I just point blank could not do it, because I've been in the restaurant industry now. I was actually just doing the math, and it's hard to believe it's actually been 15 years, because I actually started as a beauty marketer. But I've now been in the restaurant industry for about 15 years.
It started when she was 10, by the way.
It's amazing. But, back in the day, prior to working where I work today with, Melting Pot, I actually was working with Bloomin' Brands and, Outback and Carrabba's and those brands. And back in that day, I would never necessarily have a conversation or relationship with, the head of IT. IT was really more, the POS and servers and, all that kind of stuff. And then there was the market research team, which was consumer insights, but then the analytics. Now, one of my closest relationships and partnerships is with IT, because they've got all the data, right? And so Randy and his team, and this would only become possible if we have all the restaurants on the same platforms, how Kristen was talking about having Toast and Aloha and all this stuff all across the board. Similarly, we had different restaurants using different reservation systems. So it's only by being able to have everybody on Toast and everybody on OpenTable, and they were already using Salesforce for our email database. And then Randy brought all of these three together to help us develop this, recency, frequency, monetary analysis, which then we took it to the next step and took it to a true segmentation, which has been invaluable for my team and I to better understand our guest and what's important to our guest, and not just these people that fall within this segmentation that are our guests, but what do these guests look like, and how do I go find them out in the world who are currently not using us? So we've taken this very far to understand, what makes our current guests tick, and then these people that are not using us but literally have a melting pot in their town. How can we get them to become aware of us and consider us and be motivated to actually try us? We're using all the data and all the technology that Randy and team provide. So we are like lockstep. There's not a day that goes by. Unfortunately for Randy, there's not a day that goes by that I am not sitting next to him and trying to pick his brain, or how to take something further, or how to understand something, so we can continue doing more.
You said recency, frequency, monetization. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Can you share a little bit more deeper on that segmentation piece? Because loyalty is obviously so important, but if we don't know who our guests are, or we don't know what they spent on Uber Eats, and then they come into our stores and they're dining. Are you on third-party delivery? Fondue doesn't deliver.
We are not. We were during COVID. We know that there is a market out there for fondue at home. It's very difficult to do to go business from our restaurants. But we did recently launch a retail arm of the brand. Yeah. Cool. So because we know that there are people that want to use Melting Pot, but they might not want to come to the restaurant. They want to have a night in. And so Melting Pot at home would serve that. But your question on recency, frequency, and monetary, Randy would be the best person to speak to where that data is coming from. And then Beautiful. I can talk about what we're doing with it.
Great. Go for it, Randy.
Yeah. So, kind of the way that this came out, Anna was looking for ways to understand our guests better. And, traditionally, at least back in the day, you did segmentation. In some cases, you were lucky you did it once a year, maybe you did it every 18 months, but it was very static, right? I mean, you got your report back, and this is what it was. It said, Sean's here, Anna's here, Randy's here. We wanted something that was a little more dynamic. So So we started doing research on different ways of visualizing this, and the thing that kept popping up was, how can we look at recency, which is obviously when was the last time you were there, frequency, how many times have you been within a certain window, and how much did you spend? And so, that data doesn't just come out in one place. I mean, you can't get that from any one platform, at least unless you're on some big loyalty program, and we were not. So we had to take Toast data, and we had to take Open Table data, and we had to join those data together. Three points: location, table number, and time of visit. So that really narrows it down, so I can see who was there based on the reservation and what they spent. And so that's how I get to the RFM data. Then we take it's a math calculation that we divided up into 5 different categories, and those categories get 20% each. Our top one being platinum, then there's diamond, then there's gold, silver, and bronze. And then I code those and say, okay, all the platinum, here's what they are. Hand it to Anna and her team. They decide what they want to do with it. There's a couple of different ways we can use that. We can use it just raw like that, and that's really good information to have. But what Anna was referring to is when we want to go a little deeper, and we drop that data into spatial AI segmentation, which is extremely powerful. And that's taking it really to the next level. And that's how she gets to understand not only who our customers are today, but who they could be. So it's pretty exciting, and it's something that we really enjoyed, and we're fortunate to work with a company that allows us to make those kind of investments in data, where data is driving action and it's not just a distraction.
Yeah. So to Randy,
Well, let's get to the action. Yeah, Anna, please tell me
what I do.
As the more platforms that we have, the more software, the bigger our tech stacks. We have data everywhere. But once you get that data, what are you going to do with it to actually drive it?
Right. And it's very easy to go down a rabbit hole, and then you're like, what are you doing? Right. And so, I mean, I've done segmentations, ever since I've been in marketing, and, those are super expensive studies, could be hundreds of thousands of dollars, but what good is it going to do if it's a point in time that is otherwise just like locked up in some, file on your computer, or like, in a drawer somewhere back in the day. So, it's very static. And so I was doing RFPs for segmentation, and I was contacting, all sorts of different, research providers. And that's what I kept on getting stuck with. I'm like, man, this is just like, it's not going to be helpful next year or 2 years from now. Do I have to do it again? I don't want to, I want our marketing dollars to be working for the locations and franchisees. And so research is important, but it can't, you can't be locked in it, right? You can't just be handcuffed to it. And so I was looking for something more dynamic. And that's when, Randy and I, joined forces and tried to better understand how can we unlock this data. But when you have data like, okay, there's this many people that come to us, once a year, they last came 2 years ago, or, they last came last year and they spent $400. Okay. What do I go do with that? Right. So I don't know who that is, right? Where do they live? What else do they do? What other restaurants do they consider? Do they have kids? Do they not have kids? Like, I needed to, who are they? Not just like, how do they use our restaurant from a, data standpoint, like what the data showing me. So that's when we were able to basically append it to this other very dynamic database, what Randy's referring to as spatial AI, through our partnership with SiteZeus. And they then, have a very robust database. So they were actually able to match our guests that at the intersection of these 3 of Toast, Open Table, and our Salesforce platform, like 500,000 users, real people with emails that have made reservations, that have actually spent money at Melting Pot, appended it to this larger database. And all of a sudden it's like, they like come to life for me, right? And so we realized that there were 3 main segments that accounted for, let's say, 50% of our guests. And so, and then the other, 50% was much more fragmented. But we're like, okay, if 50% of our guests are these people, or people that look like these people, how can we go find them? So that's what we've started to do, right? And we did a lot of research and understood that, they want innovation. They do want to see new things from Melting Pot, because They might only come, they come to us for the experience first and foremost, right? They love the experience. It's so unique. They're usually celebrating something. Sometimes they come every year just for that celebration, and they don't necessarily deviate outside of that because that is so special to them. So that's an insight in and of itself. Like, they don't want to violate that annual visit by having a second visit or a third. It's their anniversary and they're out. They don't want that. And that's special, and that's an insight in and of itself. But some people told us they want to use us more, but they don't want to spend the time and the money, that kind of time and money every single time. But they want to use us more often. Well, that's another insight that we have. How do we create more occasions that they can come to us more often without the huge commitment of the time and the money that an anniversary might cost? And so we've developed occasions that can satisfy those need states as well. And then the question is, how do you reach them? And we reach them again, via email. But we're also now doing, again, I spoke about my team earlier. We have a very talented team that understands. Look, yes, it's always about sales overnight, but we also have to develop the brand over time. And so how do you do that, especially in a challenged, environment now? As last year was a very tough year for the restaurant industry, as people, it's just been coming off that COVID high, right? It's been a little challenging. It's been challenging. So we can't just keep churning traffic with the same people the whole time. We need to, again, widen that top of the funnel to get more new users. We're constantly having to get new users, because once you try Melting Pot, again, it is expensive. It does take a while, and it might not be for you once you try it, if you came with somebody else, right? So we're constantly needing to find new people. And so we're using all this data that and our understanding of our guests and their need states to better reach people, to bring them into that, kind of top of the funnel generating awareness standpoint. So that's what we're very focused on. The segmentation is doing that for us. It's going to help us with our paid digital efforts. It's going to help us with our email efforts. And yeah, that's where we are. And we're kicking off a lot of new work to take that to the next level now, starting in 2025.
That's amazing. Well, if anybody's watching this, we do a live show every Wednesday, every Friday called Rising Tides Live. You can join us. You can go to betheshow.media/rising tides. We want you as a restaurant owner, a hospitality professional. If you're in sales, if you're in marketing, if you're in technology, it's a chance for you to share your story. Come on our live shows. We would love to interact with you. You can follow me at Sean P. Walchef. I am weirdly available. How can people learn more about Front Burner Brands? What's the best place for them to go?
Meltingpot.com is our website. Yeah.
Beautiful. And where are you most active on social?
Instagram, Facebook.
Instagram.
Yeah.
Beautiful. And are you hiring?
Always.
And are you accepting new franchisee applications?
You better believe it.
Which states? All the states?
What do you think, Randy?
Select states?
Probably most states we're open to. Yeah,
most states.
Absolutely. Okay. We have a lot of locations in Florida. We have a lot of locations in many states, but some states have no locations and some have just one.
Awesome. Well, Randy, thank you for getting this all set up. Anna, it's a pleasure to meet you. Kristen, pleasure to meet you. Huge fan of the brand. This was an awesome conversation. I mean, I'm grateful that we started this show. We didn't quit. We kept doing it so that we can have awesome conversations like these. So thank you so much. We appreciate it. And if you guys need anything, I'm weirdly available. As always, stay curious, get involved, and don't be afraid to ask for help. We'll catch you guys next week.
Thank
you.